Great. It does show us live on our YouTube channel. And I'm getting a notification that we're also live on Facebook. So let me just double check on my end and wait a couple minutes before we get going. Great. So I do see that the notification has started appearing for everyone. So we'll go ahead and get our program kicked off for today. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever it is that you are watching this broadcast. We are making it available to you at your convenience, as many of our videos are. So if you go to our video section here on our Facebook channel, or if you may be viewing this on YouTube, you'll find a lot of the videos that we have started producing from 2020 until this day. So you can feel free to kick back and watch through anything that you may find of interest to you or entertaining. If you do watch this on replay, give us a hashtag replay. It helps us make sure that we can see any comments that you leave behind or any questions along the way. Now, for those of you that may not know me, I am Juliet Abdel, the Westminster Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, and I want to welcome you on here with us. If you're a returning viewer, then you know I have several asks of you, and that's to hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're live and that we're getting going. You can also start engaging with this video by reacting to it. Any of those emojis that you can leave for us, of course, and any comments, whether they're pleasantries or questions that you have for us, can be typed into the comment section of this video. Now, if you are a first-time viewer, then I want to welcome you to our broadcasts. We hold a couple of these a week, sometimes a little bit more, depending on the information we're trying to get out to you. But those are structured to give you updates on our city, updates on our organization in terms of our newer partners that we have, and then resources or details in around our community or state of Colorado. So make sure that you like our page, that you follow our page so you can get notified when we go live and get that little alert and just drop everything you're doing so you can tune in with us. Now, I'm very excited to have with us a couple of representatives of one of our member companies. And before we really move into that, I see a quick comment that's come our way. This has come from Parker Brown, giving us a nice good morning message. So, Parker, thank you for tuning in. Good morning to you as well. Thanks for engaging with us. And I also see Stacy on here, and I believe Stacy is connected with you, Bill. So I will turn this over. I'm very excited to have both of you on here with us today.
Thanks for having us, Juliet. And
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Well, and then now I would love for people to get to know kind of your names and what capacity you serve the organization or the company. So, Alan, I'll kick it to you to kind of start that.
Thanks, Juliet. Yeah, I'm going to kick it to Bill here after I speak. My background is in business administration, Lean Six Sigma operations management, executive leadership, and team development. My roles here is as the administrative officer, not the engineer, but know enough to be dangerous. Is working on the business, not just in the business, and helping the team and the leaders do that. I also focus on business development, sales and marketing, client and staff experience, administrative operations optimization, and HR stuff, recruiting, hiring, retention, performance improvement. So that's my role. I want to introduce our founder of the company for B-Compservices, Bill. Take it away.
Hi. Okay. So obviously, my name is Bill Rosel, and I am a senior engineer at B-Compservices, working to try to fulfill all the requirements of providing IT support to our small and medium business customers. I started in 1985, working on DOS and NetWare. Migrated in the 90s to NT and NetWare migrations, notes to Exchange migrations. I personally considered myself a bit of an expert in that field. And then, of course, the evolution of Windows networking from 2000 on. We continually strive to obtain certifications and training, and throughout our day-to-day business, support the evolution of IT. So basically, that's my story. Started the company many years ago, and fortunately, a lot of our customers have stuck with us over the years.
Yeah, and it sounds like both of you bring in such rich expertise to the table. So thank you for taking the time to give me more than just your title, but a little bit more about a deep dive of what you know and what you're bringing to the table. I also see Brian Head, one of our past board chairmen, tuned in with us. Good morning to you as well, Brian. And I saw David Craig as well. Thank you all for tuning in with us. So, and this may be a question for you, Bill. What I'll do is ask the questions that I have, and if either of you wants to answer or both of you want to answer, then I'll allow that time for you to do that. But you shared that you have founded this company several years ago. Let's speak a little bit to that. So B-Compservices obviously is in the realm of computer IT. How has that company changed over the years, or has it stayed consistent with your founding of it several years back?
Right. That's a good question. I started working on microcomputers before it was clear that I could have a career doing so. And that may be embarrassing, it may not, but that's quite some time ago. I had a company named Micromanagers in the Vail Valley, and it was break fix. So I also did residential and the typical IT guy. It's a company. We had a couple employees, but basically break fix. B-Comp was formed in 2006, and we merged.
I think Bill is a little bit frozen on my end.
Is he frozen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I might be able to finish the
Can you
story.
fill in? Yeah, started in
Yeah,
2006.
as he tries to log back in. Like he was saying, it started out as micromanagers, and
4/7,
then
365.
there you go.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is we had to evolve from a break fix to a proactive stance. In today's IT world, most who are going to watch this are going to be well aware of things like malware attacks and things like that. If you don't get in front of that and you are reactive to that, it basically can shut your lights out. So we have to be in front of these types of problems, try to solve problems before they happen. And so that's what we specialize in, and we do a good job.
Yeah. And you're based here in Westminster?
We are.
That's correct.
Well, we love having you here in our community, and thank you for choosing us to do business in, especially in your line of work. You can literally be anywhere and decide to provide these services. Now, why small business?
As opposed to residential.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the question? Or
Yes.
why small business as opposed to large business?
Yes. Why small business as opposed to both, honestly, as opposed to large business, and why just commercial over residential?
Okay, so first of all, we started focusing somewhere around 2000 on commercial customers only. We couldn't. You really have to specialize to some extent on what it is that you support, and trying to be a jack of all trades, we found really doesn't work. And in the consumer space, there's a lot of different things that really we don't have at this point, certainly expertise in. But on the business side, we have such a breadth of experience in different applications. We support accountants, lawyers, doctors, and really found that niche suited us well. So that would be the reason why we support commercial as opposed to consumer IT. But then to take that a step further, we focus on small business. We really fit an excellent niche for these types of companies because many of these companies want to either outsource their IT entirely and save some money, or they need to supplement a small IT department.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about an enterprise space, let's say 70 IT people or more, we can fill a role there, but it's certainly a diminished role as compared to an IT department of a couple of folks, where they need supplemental expertise or they need coverage for times when they go on vacation or whatever. Or like I said, where you need to outsource the entire department, which in today's day with the finances, financially, it makes a lot of sense to do so. It saves a ton of money. And so that's the reason we focus on small business, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. No, it entirely does. Now, are both of you Colorado natives or have you relocated over your years in this line of work?
I can go first.
Yeah.
So I was born in Connecticut and moved to Colorado before I could remember. So I grew up in Colorado, went to school in Colorado. I went to Golden High School. I went to Metro before going to the University of Maine. I know the city like the back of my hand. So, and many people that are going to end up watching this probably know me too.
Yeah. And I was born in Subic Bay, Philippines. My dad was a Marine, so was born there. And then I don't remember it because then after that we moved to back stateside. So it was, I guess, what you'd call a military brat. And and then after I retired from the Air Force as an administrator, hospital administrator, and nurse, I moved into the business world, the commercial world. Out of Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy there, moved up here in, I want to say, what is it now? So probably 2016. And been loving it ever since. So, but no, unfortunately I'm not a native. So sorry to all you natives. I'm a transplant, but we're probably going to stay here for a while. So we love it here.
Well, as long as you make your home and choose to commit. And as Bill said, he's been here right after he was born. So he's practically a native in my books on that. Not that it makes a difference with the companies, but I always like to give kind of a background for people to know, the faces that run the organizations here in our community. Now, I do also see Counselor Seymour on here with us. Thank you for tuning in, Counselor Emilio. And all of you that are reacting to the video, it helps us give these nice shout outs for you for taking the time to be on here with us. Now, if we can do a little bit more of a deeper dive, we talked about how you provide kind of that department, the IT department for those businesses. What exactly are those services that you are providing to them?
Okay, so that really covers the gamut of what you might expect that you might need IT support for. So in a business, if you wanted to, we could look at this a couple of different ways. We could start off a day and say, okay, my password doesn't work. I can't log in. My system is dead. I cannot print. I cannot open this document. This Microsoft update blew up my system. That's a good one. Things like that. We operate a help desk where people can contact us in various different ways. Certainly not just one, and get help on these types of issues. We also manage and support the back end infrastructure. So whether it be servers, switches, routing, firewalls, access. Sometimes, for example, you might have a medical practice who wants to build an interface to something like LabCorp or Quest, and we work with those vendors to build a secure tunnel between the two so that the EMRs can pass the lab results, things like that. And then, of course, we stay up to date and current and implement patching so that, we look at patches, we determine whether we need them and when we need them. And a lot of times they will come out with a 0-day no notice. You need this right away. We've invested a significant amount of money in the tools necessary, not only for the ticketing, so that we can keep track of, well, this problem's happening more often than not, so how can we address that, things like that, but also patch management, where we can say, okay, this 1,500 machines have the patch, but this 100 does not, right? And that's very important, because all it takes is one to take you down. So the proactive support, looking to try to close the door on things that might happen in the future, to being reactive to things that might occur. My Office 365 doesn't work anymore. I mean, you name it. I'm sure you've got problems very, very similar, and so does everybody, including myself, that you have to address when it comes to IT.
Oh, yes, yes. No, everything you've gone through, I've probably experienced at one point in time. I kid you not. I always end up causing so many issues with my IT. People wonder, how did this even happen? Like, things I've never seen before. So I fall into a lot of those things that you have just shared with us. Was there anything you wanted to add to that, Ellen, before I start peppering you all with a few questions around kind of the reasons why small business should invest in their IT, or myths around that, etc.?
No, the boss is spot on. I'll summarize it like this: you're, without sounding cheesy, but I'm going to be cheesy. You're A to Z for IT. So remember that, and everything you need. Because a lot of times in the past, IT has been fragmented. And
Awesome.
so the key is integrating that. And we've got the secret sauce, if you will, for making that happen with all the different kinds of options you have. Sometimes too many options is a bad thing. We know how to make that work. So your uptime is actually higher, because we're focusing on it proactively. So I think that's where we're a little bit different.
Absolutely. So this is the fun part of this video. Actually, I think it's always fun. I find a lot of this informational, but I always like to go back to some common myths that people have around certain industries, or hesitancies that they might have to seek a particular product or service. And we try and debunk those together, since you are the experts and can try and speak to them a little bit more clearly, and maybe help them with overcoming any obstacles of their own to seek you all in the future. So the first myth, and I know you don't have any of these questions beforehand, so I will give you some time to kind of look this over as I read it as well, to allow for you a way to respond back to it. But one of the myths that are out there is that a small business may not have a budget that for the best in class technology. Do you feel like that is an accurate statement?
I'll take an initial stab at that, and I'll let Bill kind of augment or follow up. In general, as you do the research, whenever you have your own internal IT department, whether you're a small, mid, or large size business, you're looking at between 4 to 6 potentially FTEs. If it's less than that, you're probably, outsourcing it for the knowledge gap that they don't have. And for those salaries and the coverage that it requires, you're looking at between $500K to $1 million a year. That's just for 4 to 6 FTEs. If you go larger than that, then it's more. Okay, in general, they need to be, tier 3s, network admin, sysadmin, cybersecurity experience, Active Directory experience. So all of those different things, there's additional learning and training that goes with that. Whereas for us, we're honestly a fraction of that cost. And when you're looking at per year, we're basically that entire department at, just a few $1,000s a year, not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So you can look on our website to see what those prices are. We're happy to give an assessment. But bottom line, it is more cost effective to do it that way. So you as a business can focus on your core competencies, which is what you do best. Bill, thoughts?
Oh, I want a shot at this. Okay, so I'll more directly answer the question. So my initial thought is you don't necessarily have to have the best in class technology. And I've said many, many times, sometimes the best solution is running your business out of a cigar box. And I don't mean that in a literal sense, But often what happens is particularly when you get IT folks involved, is we want to put together an elaborate, technically capable system. The more elaborate, the more expense, the more moving parts, the more maintenance, the more it requires to maintain it. And often a simple solution is the very best solution. And so the answer to your question directly, and I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to expand upon that later, but you don't, even if you had the budget, don't it's not often the case or always the case that you have to have best in class technology. The one thing I would say though, before I pass it back, is um, sometimes you have to buy systems with your long-term costs in mind. So to give you a great example is, hey, we don't have a large budget, so I want to spend $250 on a Windows computer. That's shooting yourself in the foot, because the labor costs on that is going to be exponentially higher than the $1,200 computer that I've got my front end, capital costs, and then it runs for 3, 4, 5 years. So bottom line, the answer to that is you don't always have to have the best in class technology. That would be my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, that both of those are very well said. Absolutely, and that's one of the things that you all offer is that assessment to let them know what they really need and what they don't need, and sometimes it can be more or less of their expectation. I see Matt.
Honest assessment.
Yes, an honest assessment, even if it's not selling your individual services. That's
right.
Part of it,
Right.
right? So
100%.
we talked a little bit about passwords. We talked about like forgetting passwords, forgetting logins. There's also a component of security that factors into this. So this question is more along, often as people are signing up for a particular service online, or they have numerous accounts with different companies, they have this little, generally it's writing or something that dictates that it's a password protected, right? Or it's safe because they've already set up their accounts. Do you feel like this is truly a myth that when it says password protected, they are all good, they need to take no other precautions necessary?
I want this one, Alan.
You. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
So the thing is, at this point, I would say that most do not feel and understand that this is not the case. But there may be those out there that feel like a singular password, potentially even a complex password, is enough to protect them. It just depends on what it is that you're doing. There's obviously some framework that we'd recommend, making sure you don't reuse a password, potentially string dissimilar words together rather than look for complexity with characters and things like that. But when you talk about, there's two things I want to focus on. One is when you talk about these services that are very important to you, like your cloud-based email, whether it be Office 365, Google Workspace, whatever, you have to enable a second authentication, because often that password can either be brute forced or it can get out by inadvertently typing in that password in a website or whatever. And believe me, these socially engineered attacks, these phishing attacks where you get an email that says this document's been shared, enter your password. Some of them are very, very good. MFA shields you with that, and now it's very common, and they do a really good job with it. So why not, right? So I would say not only does a password by itself not get it done, but that you should enable MFA when you can on important resources.
Okay. This is another question that I have for you all. And this might be for someone who's getting started or maybe is a small business that feels like they don't necessarily have something that would make them a target. Is that the right mindset for anyone that's getting started out, or maybe is such a micro or solopreneur out there?
I mean, I would. There's maybe some truth to that for some organizations, but I would say the scope is probably beyond. Did I lose this spreadsheet or did I lose this data? Because people can take your identity and be nefarious with you and your identity, and that's enough of a reason right there to be protective. Destroy your credit, things like that. And nowadays it's more than just, did I lose a couple of documents? Most businesses have far more that they need to secure than that, but I understand the mindset, but it's beyond just what I have that might be worth stealing, because what I have is also me, my name, and that you can really get hurt out there today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's so much more than just such basic information they have access to. Here's another one. I'm sorry it's capitalized. I'm not shouting at you, I promise. But IT systems don't need ongoing maintenance or monitoring. Is that a fact or fiction?
It's an interesting question, because if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could say, is that system sitting alone in a room not connected to the internet? And maybe not. But most systems do require ongoing maintenance in the form of protecting the operating system, especially if you're running Windows. And you need to monitor that system to make sure that you're getting those updates, and that the system has not been taken over and is performing the function of destroying somebody else's life. Because that's often what happens, is that a machine is taken over, and it's a soldier in a bot army that it's attacking other companies and other folks. So you don't want any part of that. Maybe hosting something that you don't want hosted on your equipment, and then you have a visit from law enforcement. Yeah, so I would say, generally speaking, all systems need ongoing maintenance in the form of patch management and updates, and need to be monitored for nefarious activity. Most of them.
Okay, here's another one for us. One backup system is enough.
Yeah, well, if you have one backup, you have no backup. Anybody my age knows that one. No, you need not only more than one backup, but hopefully that backup distributed to another location. So, for example, I might have a box of tapes with a week's worth of backups on it, but if my building has a problem, burns down, is flooded, whatever, and those tapes are of no value, I've lost everything. So something offsite. In today's day, offsite backup is key. It works. You can automate these processes. There's just a monthly cost that goes with it that sometimes is surprising to folks. But the bottom line is, one backup is never enough. Not a myth.
Not a myth. That's awesome.
Not a myth. I'll give you that one.
All right, we had one. We got one. Right? That's so funny. I see Rosie. I also see Edgar. Thank you both for hopping on here. We have B-Compservices. They are newer partners of ours and are giving us some updates on their business, some of the services that they have. Of course, before we close out, I will ask them for their website and their phone number and ways that people can find them and engage with them. But I have one last thing for them before I do that. And that is that the cloud is inherently insecure. Do we feel like this is a myth?
I feel like that is a myth. And I'm very, very liberal, as you could tell, with the myth or not myth. But in any case, so the economies of scale when it comes to migrating to the cloud allows you to do things that you're not allowed to do when you're pulling that out of your own pocket. For example, I can run a game day where if I had an emergency, I could do a restore. Well, a lot of businesses, I don't have spare hardware to do that restore on, to see how long it's going to take and what's my recovery point and things like that. The bottom line with the cloud that I would share with you in terms of its security is, there's a shared responsibility that you have as an organization and your IT provider to keeping that secure. So, a cloud provider, they're going to provide secure facility and secure networking, and they're going to control access to the facility. But they can give you a server and you could put your data up there and allow it to be open to the public and lose everything, right? So you have responsibility. It's a shared responsibility model. It's very commonly understood in the cloud space. So you have to have expertise. At B-Comp, we have multiple certifications in AWS and cloud management and migration. We have a ton of customers that are migrating to the cloud. It is definitely what the current strategy is by a lot of companies, and rightfully so. And it's cheaper. So not only is it more secure because they have the money to put in systems that you wouldn't otherwise be able to afford, and then pay for it, a slice of that. But also you don't have the upfront capital costs. You can resize on the fly. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being thorough and answering those all for me. I know you had no idea what I would ask, and I threw out some random things that I had across my eyes that I wanted to get out there for folks that may be either new to business, in business right now, may not have IT support or services, or have looked at having that. I can tell you having someone on speed dial is super helpful for a business. The last thing you want to be doing is dealing with a problem that you yourself don't know very much about. So with that, are people coming to your place of business? Is foot traffic the ideal way that you want people to engage with you? Or is it more on the website that you have to find out more about what you all offer? Like, do you want drop-ins, or are you more of a go online and find our information?
It could be either or, whatever's convenient. I think the website does help to kind of say, hey, let's set up a meeting where we can talk over the phone, get to know each other, see if we're a fit for each other. So we very much are open to that. We also know in this generation, a lot of people don't want to talk to you. They just want to, let me just do this all online. And so we have that option as well, which is a great segue. Go ahead, Bill, if you're going to say something.
But we would love to meet you. We'd love to have you by our office. Our address is on the website. You're welcome to come by anytime.
Awesome.
We'd like to talk to you. We could do video conferences, whatever. The thing I'd like to share with you is, we'd love to talk to you. You could run, something by us, just get a second opinion. You might want to call us and really have no intentions in hiring us, and you just want a second opinion. Say hi, give us a call. We'll talk to you. That the one thing I can commit to you is that our focus is doing what's right for you and your business, and not ours. And that is something that's kept us in business this long, and will continue so long as I have anything to do with it. That's the way we run our business. So I'll tell you the absolute truth. The best thing that in our opinion you might want to do, and I would encourage you to give us a call anytime. We'd love to talk to you.
Well, I appreciate the straightforwardness of you answering all those questions, Bill, and really not beating around the bush. And I think that speaks to how you would interact with someone that's a potential or future client of yours. For those of you that want their information and contact, we've dropped that in the chat for you. I'll quickly display it. Of course, the website is B-Compservices.com. You can find them on 120th and Sheridan. That's a great spot to be in. Those details are included, of course, in the chat section for you to do. And if you're just wanting to call them, as Bill was sharing, and you had a quick thought or question or need some direction immediately, their phone number is also included for you, and that's 303-282-4934. And lastly, all things social media, you can find them on Facebook. They're also on another platform as well. They're on Instagram as well. So you can connect with them on that platform, although I've included that in there. Oh, Stacy is sharing that it is in Tejon, not Sheridan. Did I physically say Sheridan?
Yeah, we're on 120th.
Yes, go with the address that's
West.
in the chat. Correct. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Go with you guys can find it.
Not what I verbally say, for sure. Thank you, Stacy, for chiming in on that. Were there additional comments that you wanted to get out there, either Alan or Bill, that I've not asked you that you were hoping to get out to the audience, or we feel comfortable with some of the things that we were able to get across to those listening in?
I just want to give a special kind of phone number for folks who want to reach out to me directly. And that's 720-903-1747. 720-903-1747. That's specifically for this audience, to get quicker access to some of the decision makers. And we want to thank the Westminster Chamber of Commerce for putting this up for us. We're excited about helping build the community and the economic development of our community in Westminster, and we're so excited and glad to be a part of that. So thank you for that opportunity.
Likewise. Well, we are very excited to partner with you and see where this partnership can go. I very much appreciated this time together and learning more about you all, seeing you visually, now that things are starting to move in that direction, and hopefully that we can be out at your facility sometime soon. So with that, I thank everyone that's tuned in onto this broadcast. Of course, if you had a question that you didn't get a chance to ask us, you can always DM the page or comment it on this video. We'll get it to our experts and to both of our guests today. Thank you for all that you're doing to support our businesses, and for opening up and really continuing over these years to adapt and modify what you provide to those in our business community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you.